Coordinator of International Student Services here at Drew University. We have this semester, fall semester, we have 154 international students at Drew from over 40 countries. So we have, as you've probably heard, 3 schools, and those international students are in both our graduate and undergraduate programs. So I am here today to talk to you a little bit about the visa process and the I-20 application. You had a chance to hear earlier from John Ferrara, who is our international admissions counselor in the college, and I work very closely with our admissions team. Once you are admitted to the university, then the international office starts to get involved so that we can process that I-20 quickly and get you onto the visa application. So in terms of the I-20, we do have an I-20 application form on our admissions website, and we strongly encourage students to fill out that application at the same time that they're processing their regular college application. And this will expedite the processing of the I-20, and once you are admitted, most students are very anxious to have the I-20 in their hands so they can begin to apply for that visa. So with the I-20 application, we ask that it's actually very straightforward. There are not a lot of questions, but we want to make sure that the information in your passport is the same information that you're putting on that I-20 application. It's really important that we get the information correct. We want your passport information, your visa, and your I-20 to all match. And if it doesn't, once you get here to the United States, you can run into some trouble with different government agencies if those documents are all not matching. So when you fill out that I-20 application online, the other important piece, other than filling it out accurately, is of course the financial certification. And you are all aware that you need to certify that you have sufficient funds to study in the United States for the duration of your program. Now, for the I-20, we require proof of 1 year of financial documents so that you're not having to demonstrate for all 4 years. And at Drew, we require, we will accept a variety of documents for the financial certification. Now, many students are sponsored by their parents, but some have sponsoring agencies. It could be your government, it could be a nonprofit organization in your country. So when you fill out that financial certification form, your parents will probably be signing an affidavit of support to demonstrate that they can afford to pay for your 4 years of studies at Drew. But we also will accept a variety of documents, and I want to make sure that when you're completing that you reach out to us, either the John Ferrara in admissions or myself, to make sure, because we can accept a variety of documents. Most students will supply a bank statement, but we will also look at letters from your parents' employers that demonstrate that they have a salary that can support you here. We will also look at if your parents own a small business, we will look at those documents. So just make sure that you don't get too overwhelmed by that process and reach out to us so that we can help guide you as you submit those documents. Now, another important thing is a lot of students will send the original documents to Drew, which is fine, but you also need original documents for your visa application and your interview. So we will also accept, you can scan those documents and email them to us, or you can send the originals, but to expedite the process, we recommend that you do scan and email your financial certification forms with that I-20 application. So once you've completed the application and you're accepted to Drew, you will be paying an enrollment deposit. A lot of students will contact us because they haven't received an I-20, and usually it's because we do not have the documents that we need. So it's important that you have the financial certification and the enrollment deposit paid. And at that point, we can very quickly get that I-20 out to you. So make sure that you do those 2 steps first, and then we can get that I-20 out to you, and you can begin the visa process. So the visa process also is quite straightforward because most of it is done online. You will be paying something called the Sivas Fee. Now, Sivas stands for the Student Exchange Visitor Information System. It's simply a database that the Department of Homeland Security keeps, and we basically monitor your entire educational experience here in the United States. So if you come for a bachelor's degree, you will have a Sivas number, and you will keep that same Sivas number throughout your master's and your PhD if you decide to pursue graduate study. So that Sivas number can be found in the upper right-hand corner of the I-20. And again, it's important because it will be used by both U.S. Immigration and the Department of State when issuing the visa. So once you receive that I-20 from us, you will be paying something called a Sivas Fee, and that fee is $200 for students on an F visa. You pay that Sivas fee, and once you've done that, you can go ahead and roll right into the visa application process, which again is done online. Now you will be visiting the State Department's website, or the consulate, the U.S. consulate in your country. Every country has a U.S. consulate, so you will go onto their website and you will be filling out something called the DS Form 160, and the cost of that form is also $160. So there are a couple of fees, and the Sivas fee is paid to the Department of Homeland Security, the visa fee to the State Department. And so once you've paid the fee for the DS 160, you will be probably asked to upload photos. In most countries, they're uploading the photos that are required for the visa stamp. Some countries, you will have to bring the photo to your appointment, but that's generally part of the process, is just doing an electronic form, uploading the photos, and then you will be good to go. You do actually have to contact the U.S. consulate to set up your interview. They do not contact you, so don't skip that process, or you will not have an interview for your visa. Within recent years, that interview is required in all countries, so you will be doing that for the initial visa. And you can look up the processing time. It is different in all countries, but for most non-immigrant visas, the processing time can be as short as a week, and it can take up to more like 6 weeks if they're doing additional processing or administrative processing on your visa application. So make sure you leave lots of time for that. Now, the U.S. consulates will allow you to apply up to 120 days before your start date. Your I-20 form is going to have a start date on that, which is quite important, and a lot of students don't. Once you get that I-20, you're not going to be looking at it, but we encourage you to look at the actual document, because you're going to have on that document the date that we expect you to report to the university, and this date, of course, is important when you're applying for your visa. So like I said, you can apply up to 4 months before your start date at Drew, and they will schedule an interview sometime within that period. As I said, we encourage you to complete this whole process early so that you're not worried about getting your visa a couple of weeks before the start of the semester. And once you are admitted in the spring, we can go ahead and generate the I-20, and you can start that visa application quite quickly. So that is basically like I said, it's not a difficult process, but all of the documents need to be received at Drew, and the enrollment deposit, before we can really begin that I-20 process. And then, of course, my office is involved. Once your I-20 is processed and you've got that visa, we're going to be asking you to come a couple of days before the start of the semester for an orientation program. You're allowed to move on to campus, and you're going to be meeting with all the other new international students, and we're going to have a whole series of programs so that you can get to know people at the university. You're going to be able to get registered early, pay your fees, get your student ID. We work with local banks, and so you can get a bank account open. And we strongly encourage students to attend the orientation program so that you're settled before all of the other students return to the university. And we offer, for the fall semester, we do a longer orientation program. Usually it's 4 days. In the spring, we will shorten that to 1 or 2 days, depending on the number of students we have enrolling for the spring semester. So that's pretty much the process for the I-20 and the visa. Francis, do we have any questions?
I'm set.
Okay. We don't actually have a law school at Drew University. Our graduate programs, we have a theological school that's very popular, and we have programs at the graduate level. We offer a master's and a PhD in history and culture. We have a medical humanities program. We offer a Master of Arts in Teaching and a Master of Arts in, or Master of Fine Arts in Poetry. So unfortunately, we do not have a law program. I see there's quite a few questions about different programs that we have at Drew. We, at the graduate level, like I said, we're very strong in the humanities and in theology and religion. So we have a lot of students who are coming for the social sciences in terms of at the theological school. We're just trying to see if there's some questions that we have. One question here about full-time work and part-time. I can address a little bit about the issues in terms of working on campus. So students who come to the United States on an F visa are allowed to work on campus up to 20 hours a week during the school year. If there's any official school break, you're allowed to work full-time, which is not defined by immigration. Usually that's 40 hours. But a lot of students coming to study in the United States will come with an assistantship, a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship. So that is allowed. Seeking work off campus, there are different opportunities. Once you've been registered or enrolled for a full academic year, international students are eligible to apply for different types of work authorization, although they do have to be related to your field of study. So there is not an option to go out and work in the community just at any sort of coffee shop or local store. You will be required to be working at a job that is related to your graduate studies or your undergraduate studies. We have a question here about our Ielts requirements. Do you want to? Yeah. Just like you. So John's going to come back in here so we can talk together about our admissions requirements. Did we talk about TOEFL? Okay.
Okay. The Ielts requirement, yes. There's two questions here. One is about the Ielts score in terms of what we require, and then also if a student can be granted admission without an Ielts test score. We'll approach the first one. The Ielts requirement that we have here, the minimum is at least a 6.5. The other alternative test is the TOEFL, the test of English, where that minimum is an 88. So those are your two scores. The admission requirement without the Ielts, we can grant admission without an Ielts and or a TOEFL score. This is based around a few factors. One, if a student submits an SAT score with an English score above or at least 500 or above, we can waive the Ielts and TOEFL requirement. If a student goes to an international school abroad or even in the U.S. where the language of instruction is English, then yes, we can waive the Ielts and or the TOEFL score. If the international student is here in the United States studying, then we can waive the Ielts and or the TOEFL score. However, the component that we cannot waive is the SAT/ACT requirement. Oh, another one for me.
Yes.
We're going to go back and forth here, I hope. This student is asking about scholarships for international students. We grant scholarships to our international students the same as we grant to our domestic students here at Drew. Upon admission to Drew, a student's application is reviewed for scholarship. This review is a holistic approach where we look at every component and piece of the scholarship itself, everything from the test scores to the GPA and their transcripts to their letters of recommendation, their personal statement, their lists of extracurricular activities, and I think I mentioned it all. And we take into account every factor of the application to grant a student scholarship. And this is the first piece of the scholarship process, so that's what we call our merit award. After that award is given, students, both international and domestic, can apply for separate merit-based scholarships. These scholarships can be found on our website, and they are 3 scholarships, which are called the Presidential Arts Scholarship, which is a scholarship ranging in the arts, so theater, art, music, creative writing, and dance. The RISE Scholarship, which is a scholarship that revolves around the sciences and mathematics, and the Civic Engagement Scholarship, which is a scholarship that revolves around community service and community outreach here in our Drew community and abroad as well. And we look for students in that field that have background and experience in their own communities, in their own schools, in their homes, their churches, etc., in community service and community outreach. So those are the separate merit-based scholarships. So you have two phases: the Merit Award, which we grant based on the student's application, and then the Merit Scholarship, one or multiple merit scholarships, which international students can apply for online. Are there summer scholarships for foreign graduate students?
Summer scholarship, we typically do not have students beginning graduate studies at Drew in the summer. There are a few exceptions to that. Our Master of Fine Arts in Poetry is, the students are here during the summer, and our Master of Arts in Teaching is also a program that will begin in June. But other than that, we do not have students beginning or doing summer studies at the graduate level. Again, as John said, if you're interested in merit scholarships, you would want to contact our graduate schools directly, either the Theological School or our Casperson School of Graduate Studies. And you would be able to inquire about scholarships. They are available through both schools, and that would be, the process would be very similar to what we do at the undergraduate level. You'd be submitting documents at the application phase, and they would be reviewed and considered for scholarships at that point.
We have another question. This student is inquiring about a master's degree in mechanical engineering and financial aid for that particular program. Unfortunately, we do not have a master's degree in mechanical engineering. Our engineering program is offered at the undergraduate level as a joint degree program that we partner with Columbia University. But this is, again, an undergraduate program, not a master's program, where a student receives a Bachelor of the Arts from Drew University in one of our fields of study, primarily the sciences, whether that be physics or chemistry or biology or computer science. And then they move on for 2 years then to Columbia to study engineering, where they would obtain a Bachelor of Science degree in engineering. So it's a joint degree program for 2 bachelor's degrees, not a master's degree, unfortunately.
How would they get more information about
on the website? So in order to learn a little bit more about the university here, the programs that we offer, the people that are here, and to obviously learn more about Laura and myself, the simplest thing is to visit our website. This was a newly launched website that was launched a little bit over a year ago. It has had rave reviews from families and from students that have come to visit our campus and that have inquired about Drew and just want to learn about Drew, whether it's just a random hit that they found on a website, or whether someone told them, hey, go check out Drew University. The website is very interactive, very informative. It gives you great insight to the different programs, information about the programs, the faculty, the staff here. While we do not, and now I'm going to delve a little bit into admissions from there. While we do, for the admissions process, while we do recommend and we do offer on-campus visits, we understand that for all international students, this just can't be so. It's very difficult to come in here, come to the United States from wherever you may be coming, whether that be a financial burden or just a time restriction. Therefore, we advise you to, again, look on our website, explore our campus. You can see the campus on our campus map tool that we have on our website. And you can also schedule a Skype interview with myself for our international students, for those that cannot interview on campus. This component of the application is not required, however, it is recommended. At a place like this where we have an opportunity to learn more about our students and about where they come from and the different programs that they're involved with and who they really are, the application process can tell us a lot. However, the interview process can tell us even a little bit more, because we get to hear directly from you, the students. So if you can't make it to campus, go online, request a Skype interview, and you can fill in when you're available, when you'd like to be contacted, and we can work with your schedule to adjust the appropriate time to have an interview with our admissions staff. I think we have another question.
I guess I'll also add, just in terms of, I had mentioned that the International Student Service Office normally gets involved once a student is admitted, but I want students to know that you're more than welcome to contact my office, contact me if you have questions related to the international student experience. Anything that we offer for students once you're here, I'm happy to answer questions before you're admitted, and to let you know a little bit more about what we have available for services for the international community.
We have a question regarding a master's degree in computer science. Unfortunately, we do not have a master's program in computer science. We do have it, and we do offer it at the undergraduate level. However, we do not have it at the master's degree level, unfortunately. After this phase, we will be moving on to our student panel. We do have a few minutes. We'll leave it open for question. Until then, it's just going to be kind of an open forum discussion between Laura and myself, if Laura's willing to stay on with me. We both have been now working together for a little bit over a year, and we've been learning a little bit about how the international office runs here at Drew and some of the changes that we've both been able to implement and to experience ourselves. How long have you been working for the campus, Laura?
I have been at Drew for 3.5 years.
She beats me there. Yeah. I've been here for a little over 1.
Yes, well, I've trained John well.
That's right. Guys, listen up. One of the advantages that we have being on the professional staff here is that we get to, for me, I not only get to admit the students, but I get to learn from Laura and her experience with having the students here on campus. Talk to any student here at Drew. Go on our Facebook page, and you can become a fan of our Facebook page. We will also soon be having a Twitter account, which will be on. And you can hear from our students, so hear from our faculty and our staff as well. But the best people that you're going to be able to talk to, whether it be online or soon here online with our student panel, the students themselves. They'll tell you a little bit about their experience, their admissions experience from my end, their experience with Laura working with her. But again, the overall campus, the message that we deliver from this campus, what we try to project in a positive learning environment here in Madison.
Yes, we have a relatively small community, so we have a new and very active International Student Association, and at the graduate level we also have other organizations for international students. So again, if you are interested in reaching out to those students, they would be happy to answer questions that you have before you arrive at Drew, or certainly even before you're admitted. So you're going to be fortunate enough to talk to some of the students or hear from some of the students this morning, and then again, if you at any time want to Skype or to talk to some of those students, John or I could facilitate something like that for you to be able to ask questions to them, because as we all know, they're probably the best ones.
Mm-hmm.
They can certainly they're better at answering questions like how's the food and what's the weekend life like. We're not as involved in that aspect of the university, but
they're the best people to ask.
They're the best people to ask. So.
But again, this all comes down to what we call here in admissions. It all comes down to fit. Finding the right fit for you specifically, and again, learning from the people that you talk with at these different universities and colleges that you're going to visit and you're going to call and you're going to email, talking with students, also talking with your own families, talking with your teachers, talking with your counselors in school. Where have they gone? What have they learned? It's all part of this process, which can be a little time-consuming and a little stressful. However, the key is communication. Communication with the schools that you're interested in, and also being on that one-to-one level with your counselors there as well. It's all about fit. Drew is a great place. We stress the environment here as very people-friendly with an active community. However, there are thousands of schools to choose from, and we have some of the best students that we think we get from all over the place. And that's something to be said about our campus. But we know that a lot of students will look here, they'll be interested, and we will fight for them just as hard as the next person. And whether they call Drew their home or not, again, this is all about you. This is about where you're going to find your best fit. So my rule 1 for admissions, and I tell this to families all the time, is to simply be happy. Being happy with your college pick throughout the admissions process, the faculty, the teachers, the students here, the athletics, the programs, you name it. There's so much to consider and so much that you're going to have to learn and you're going to have to ask about in the admissions process. But being happy, again, is always the main goal. For me as a counselor to tell that to a family, tell that to a student, it can be sometimes reassuring, because when, however many schools might be gunning for you in one particular year, you have to remember that no matter what happens, it's still ultimately your choice. You're not hurting anyone's feelings by following your own heart and making the decision that best suits your needs.
Right. I mean, again, if I talk about the small community at Drew, a good fit for the students coming here are students who really want to get engaged with the students and with the faculty and staff at the university. You have great accessibility to the staff and faculty here. It's a small college, and you can knock on my door, you can knock on faculty's doors, and you will have people who are willing to help and to reach out and to get involved with you on the campus. So that is a very unique thing about Drew, and we like to share that with students because we feel like the more you're interested in interacting with the American students and getting to know your fellow students on campus, the better experience that you're going to have here, because we definitely offer that sort of environment.
Wendy was here a little bit earlier, and I know you saw her briefly, and she discussed and she mentioned in her presentation a little bit about not only bringing our international students here on campus, but also in order to internationalize a campus, we have to promote our students to learn and to study abroad.
Right.
Our study abroad office here works very well with our students to get them to the countries and into the different programs that they're interested in. The director of the study abroad
It's Stacy Fisher.
Stacy Fisher, couldn't think of the name, excuse me. And she can be found just on our website. If you go onto our website and simply go into the search box and type in Stacy Fisher, and her information is going to pop up. And she coordinates all the programs here. We have over 60 programs in over 30 countries. And this is open to our international students as well. So something to consider about pursuing the right college and university experience for you throughout this process.
That's right. We actually have quite a few of our international students do short-term study abroad programs. We offer a number of faculty-led short-term programs all over the world. So it doesn't mean that you're going away for a semester or a year. You could easily go for a 3 or 4 week period. You could even do a spring break in another country. We have community service projects that are run in different countries that our students find very interesting. And we also have students the international students are very interested in our programs at the UN. Did you talk about the UN programs or the Wall Street semester?
Wendy discussed it in her faculty presentation.
Those are very popular with the undergraduate students, and again, we always encourage students to do as many things as they can while they're here at Drew.
We do have a question, and it is simply, which is the most important thing in the application? Fill to the Common App. They're all important. That's a general answer, I know. And again, I say that simply because it's the actual God's honest truth. We have a holistic approach here to how we review an application, how we read an application, how we learn about our students. Every component is important. From the Common App information itself, where we have to have the general information which you have to fill out on every application, the personal statement, which is the essay component of the application, the 2 letters of recommendation which we require, the SAT/ACT scores, the TOEFL and Ielts score if they're required for any particular student, and also the transcript, the GPA, the grades. Did I mention letters of recommendation?
Yes.
Every piece is just as important as the next. We don't count out a student for one component that is not as positive as the others. A low SAT score does not mean that you're not granted admission to this university. It means that you had a bad test. It doesn't reflect your overall academic ability as a student. It doesn't reflect your overall ability as a person, which is why, again, as I said, every piece is important and we take into account every single component equally. And we have a hello from a student from Iran. Hello. Feel free to ask a question if you're still there. Hopefully you do, otherwise I'm just looking right into a camera.
I can also talk a little bit about the fact that in addition to our international students getting involved with study abroad, which they definitely do, we strongly encourage all of our students to do internships. And you are eligible. I talked a little bit about work authorization earlier, but as an international student, you are eligible to do internships, paid internships off campus. Now, that you have to be in the US for one full academic year before you're eligible to apply, but I work closely with our internship coordinator in our career services office, and she, if you're interested in an internship, whether it's in New York City or somewhere here in New Jersey or really anywhere in the country, you will be eligible to do that, and you will most likely also be earning academic credit. We encourage you to do, you don't have to earn academic credit to do an internship, but you can earn up to as many as 4 credits for that experience. So that's another bonus that that we will work closely and encourage you to take advantage of those opportunities while you're here.
We did have a question from that student that did say hello.
Oh, okay.
She said it, and then you started talking about something else, so shame on you.
Internships.
But our student that said hello to us is asking about if we have different stipulations for students with different medical conditions. Her specific question is discussing a student with diabetes type 1, and if it is a problem for our rules and regulations here. Not at all. We do have certain medical forms that we require all of our students to fill out and submit. We also have separate medical housing here on campus for our students with special needs. This is done on a case-by-case basis for students that submit these forms to our health services office that require special attention and special needs. As far as the admissions procedure is concerned, it is not a problem. By all means, we open our doors to any type of student with any type of condition that they have. It's just a part of the human condition, as it were. We also have a disability office here as well. Laura is actually located right near that office for students with certain disabilities and learning disorders as well, which we work very closely with each individual student, whether they be a domestic or an international student, and the contact.
Asha Nambiar is our coordinator for disability services, and she does work closely with, as John mentioned, we have a fully staffed health service where students with all sorts of issues can visit. We have nurses and physicians on staff. Not all the time the physicians are here, frequently, but we have lots of students here at Drew with different issues. So, and the disability coordinator, Asha Nambiar, works with students with physical and with learning disabilities. So we definitely have services, and certainly something like diabetes type 1 would be managed easily by our health service staff.
And we also have access to one of the top medical centers in the state, in New Jersey, the Morristown Medical Center, which is located quite literally 2.5 to 3 miles away from our campus. Some of our students interested, while that is a service provided for our students, if there is a medical emergency, many of our students in the health sciences field and medical fields studying pre-med programs here can intern and work closely in the hospitals, starting even from their first year on. We will have a student panel very shortly, but we will take any questions that we still get for the next few minutes. Do you want to discuss a little bit about Kathy?
Oh, yes, of course. We hadn't mentioned that. In addition to the other services we've discussed, we have an excellent, what we call an English speakers of other languages program. It is an academic support service. It's not teaching ESL. And we have a director, Professor Kathy Brown, who's very involved. She also has a staff of PhD students who assist her. And they work very closely offering academic support to our international students. So if a student starts here as an undergraduate student and goes all the way through a PhD program, she and her staff work with students on their reading and writing requirements. So we do have students who have appointments in that office weekly, which is wonderful. And she, like I said, she really is a wonderful mentor, and she works very closely with students as they write papers, as they do research, even for presentations. If a student has a presentation for a course, she will work with them. They can go with her staff, and it's actually a very unique service that we offer. We also have a writing center, which is separate from that office. The writing center has peer tutors, and they also have a staff, and so students who are have writing assignments or have issues can make appointments with the writing center as well. So we really offer 2 very unique academic support services for the international community.
We do have, Francis, you can come back real quick. We do have one question that popped up, if it can be open for us, please, that we just received. And we have a student coming to us from Ghana, so welcome. And she'd like to know how to get admission into Drew University and whether we have scholarships for these students. So a brief rundown
Yes.
for that again from my presentation earlier. So welcome, by all means, it's okay to be late. That's why we have this event. The admissions process here, the application process here starts online, www.drew.edu/apply. On our website, on this application portion of our website, you can learn about the application procedures, the process. You can also learn about the academic programs here, certain majors, minors, areas of study that we offer, and to see if you find something that interests you and find something that would best fit your needs. For the application process, on the application site, we can accept either the Common App or the separate Drew application. Either app is perfectly acceptable. One is not more important than the other. And you fill out the different materials that are required from there. I'll go through the list very quickly. The application itself, the Common App or the Drew application. 2 letters of recommendation, a minimum of 2. One of them must be from a teacher, the other must be from a counselor that you work with at your school. Students can submit more than 2 letters. It's perfectly fine, however, we do require at least 2. Please don't submit more than, I'd say, 5. We require at least 2, but feel free to submit a few extras. So the application, letters of recommendation, which we receive from your school, your teachers and your counselors, the transcript, which will go over your grades, your GPA, your overall academic performance at your school. Throughout the application process, we will also require from your schools that they submit up-to-date grades from your senior year. And then finally, if you are an admitted student to Drew, your final transcripts upon admission to Drew. So going through it again, the application, letters of recommendation, the transcripts, the test scores. We require one or the other, the SAT or the ACT. You can submit both if you have both, or you can submit one or the other. We require at least one. The test of English, the TOEFL or the Ielts, is also required by our international students. In this case, for our specific student from Ghana, it is not required. It can be waived because the primary language in Ghana is English, and the primary language of instruction at the schools in Ghana is also English, and that's the exception to the rule. We can waive in admissions, we can waive the TOEFL and Ielts section, but it's based upon a student's background. If they attend an English-speaking school, or if they're located in a country where the primary language is English. And after that, the last component is the personal essay, the personal statement. This is found on the Common App and on the Drew app as well. It's an opportunity for students to share a little bit about themselves. In admissions, we don't like seeing an essay where we see students say, I would like to attend Drew University because. We know what we have, we know the programs that we offer, we know who we are. If you're telling us about the things that you want to do here, that's great, but we'd like to learn a little bit about you. Who are you? What experiences have you had from your childhood onto your early adulthood life, into your teenage years? Are there other people in your life that you've learned from, that you role model after? Are there other students or other family members that look up to you? Tell us about yourself. This is a private university where we pride ourselves on learning about who our students are, not only while they're at Drew, but before they get in our doors. So it's something to really consider when you're writing that personal essay. And I believe, was that all the questions that she had? All right, and that is going to do it for us here, actually, for admissions and for, well,
International students.
yeah, I feel like we're wrapping up a news program, actually.
I do too.
Are we going to take a 5-minute break? We're going to take a short 5-minute break. Please stick around. We are going to have a very active and very awake and happy student panel for you. And they're going to be able to tell you a little bit about the student perspective and student life here on campus. There's going to be opportunities to ask them questions. It should be a lot of fun. So please stick around for that. But we thank you for coming in and joining us for our sessions.
Great. Thank you so much.
Nice.